Right, Tuesday, the 16th of April. Start off with apologies for absence. Nobody's here today. Rob, Councillor Owens. Declarations of interest, I see none. Agenda item number 3 to approve the minutes of the planning committee on the 26th of March. Apologies for absence, declarations of interest, minutes. So that's our planning one, it's not ours. Yes, it is. Apologies, it's been a busy day today. Apologies for absence, declarations of interest, minutes, public participation, plans. Does anybody have any comments on this one? Councillor Plant, no opposed. Anybody else second? Councillor Thomas to second, and all in favour. The second was to consider the draft motion recommendations of planning emergency working group from 27th of March. I think there was one recommendation. Resolved to recommend a planning committee that a grant be offered to Greener Henley. My only question on this was this in the same swathe of grants that was turned down by previously?
I don't think so.
This was a
but there are two that they did turn down.
Yeah, so those two. So this one, so resolved to recommend the planning committee, so we have noted that. All in favour? Yeah, all in favour, fine. And then notes on the transport strategy group from the 27th of March as well. I think the note on here is just to look at the recommendation to resolve for the purchase of the speed sign.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah. All in favour?
Yep.
We move on to public participation. Plans new agenda item number 5 on page 13. 40 St Mark's Road. Sorry, Julie. Yes.
Yeah,
You've got to keep telling them. So.
This is an existing garden room that they're proposing to extend. It's quite a modest extension to include a home office. Again, we could ask for a condition that part of the building to remain unsecured. Thank you.
Drawing PO1 and EO1 are both described as homes.
Yes.
What should we do about that?
Do we need to really have an existing one there? Because it's just because it says you can tell which one's proposed and which ones are existing.
Yes, you can.
Yeah.
I just, I would like to hold people to a higher standard.
I think maybe.
You're talking about the plans.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's an improvement. I would say it's an improvement, but it's just lazy.
Architects.
Lazy.
It is the architects.
I don't know whether they're qualified. I think they're architectural design or something.
Possibly.
Anyway.
Junior. Okay. That's for approval. Also approval. Second. Councillor Thomas.
Would we be able to put it as Jodie, if our planning officer recommends that it's ancillary to the main dwelling?
Yeah, I would hope
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. Okay.
We have a proposal for acceptance or approval and seconded, and we have a condition. All in favour? Okay. The anchor timber deck planters on the car park.
Yeah, so this is within the conservation area and it's a listed building. There's no objections from the heritage officer. Environmental health have some concerns about noise affecting residential properties to the rear and requested a noise management plan, and also some neighbours have objected. But there is existing there.
So, Councillor Thomas.
So this is an awkward one, isn't it? I mean, I think first off, I think we need to refuse it until this this noise study comes in. Okay, first off. But I mean, I just think it's they already have, this pub already has a huge back garden and decking area. And what they're proposing to do is extend that decking area into the existing car park, which would make the footprint of the garden and proposed terrace, twice as big as the tiny little building of the pub. It's a balancing, isn't it? You want these obviously these establishments to succeed, but also you have to protect the interests of the residents. But first off, I think we just need to get that noise study in.
Yeah, agreed. So we have a proposal for refusal.
Subject to the,
Subject
yeah.
to the noise plan. To the seconder for that.
If we support that, do we get it back once the noise studies come in? Or-
That's what I'm concerned about, because if you're recommending refusal just on the grounds of the noise study, and then that's provided.
Might not come back to
It
us.
might, no, but it would be amended plans, so we should get reconsulted, but if you have other concerns for refusal, I would add them in at
okay,
this stage.
okay, so as the proposer, I'm happy to add, you know, my concerns about the original, respecting the original footprint of the existing building. And for the planners to look at the existing outside space that they already have. And I do, you know, sympathise with the residents who are concerned about the noise.
Councillor.
In Regatta, don't they extend the car park anywhere in Douglas?
Yeah.
So is that when the noise is gonna happen?
I would imagine that's exactly when it's going to continue, because they do it every year. They put the alarm up. And I would wager that even if they build it, they're never going to fill it. It is, you know, if they have plans to do outside seating and more food and work on that basis, I wouldn't see a major issue with it, because most of that trade is going to be daytime trade. I understand exactly, because I was looking at that myself, trying to figure out what is it. Should we approve it? Should we not? It's space that they use already. I don't think it requires planning permission. Well, sorry, they've called out in their statement, in their supporting documentation from whoever it is that's done the work for Breakspeed, Red Kite, I think, that actually they don't need planning permission. They're just going for planning permission because. But I would question whether that's the
I'm not
case.
sure about that.
In the decking,
Yeah.
would require permission.
Councillor Plunkett.
Are fully in support of the application. If they came up with a sound management plan that would contend it to normal licensing hours and non-amplified music like we do to all the other premises in town, such as the bill that came forward with it most recently when they extended their government development there. If they came forward with something like that, I'm fully in support. See no issues with it. Unfortunately, if you buy a house next to a pub, you expect that. If you live in a town centre. you
Well, they
expect-
bought a house next to a car park.
You expect that car park for a pub, yeah.
But it does come up.
It's the same people, like, I had the odd noise complaint from the Muse flats that got built behind me, and the noise officers at SADC just said, if you buy next to a commercial premises in town, unfortunately, it's one of the things you expect. You when I say will live in a town centre, it comes with living in a town centre, unfortunately.
In Regatta, you can hear the anchor from Queen Street, most definitely.
Yeah, you can Bull from Kings Road, it's part of the busy town centre. And not only having a nightclub in the car park, let's be reasonable.
I don't think, yeah, I understand completely.
Well, I'm going to stick with my original proposal, whether councillors want to go with it or not. Yeah.
Okay, so we have a proposal for refusal primarily in the grounds, well, no. On the grounds noted that there's no noise plan put forward and that it is unneighbourly. Is that,
So the two other ones that I flagged are unneighbourly. And number two is that they already have a generous outdoor space.
and they also use the car park as it is today. For,
Well, only at Regatta.
okay,
I mean, that's the kind of noise that's going to be generated all the time, not just at Regatta if they do expand into the car park, arguably.
so a proposal to the seconder. No one to second.
Mm.
Fine. Do we have any other proposals?
I'm for the application, but I would like them to come forward with a sound management plan, which I think they will do so, and I'd like to have a condition on it that it's non-amplified music, the same as we've done to the Bull before, or any other establishment.
I'd second that.
Okay. So we have a proposal for approval on the basis of producing a plan and the conditions that we've applied to in the rules in time,
Non-amplified,
it's
isn't it?
non-amplified, and it has been seconded.
They can always come forward with lay license applications if and when they want, such as for any, which they'd submit straight to us at DCA.
Yeah, that goes with that's what you see.
Yeah.
So we have a proposal and a seconder. Anybody else care to speak? All in favour? All against? On the fence with it, really, but
Difficult one, isn't
it
it?
is. It is. Well, you're right, it will come back and it will be approved.
Mm.
because every other property around here has similar.
Oh, no, they haven't actually, none of the other ones have actually extended into a car park. Oh, no, you're right, the Bull
Yeah.
did, the Bull did, you're right, yeah. It was a smaller car park, but they did, yeah.
Yeah, but that's a huge extension.
Mm.
Okay, next one.
Sorry.
This is the one I was gonna, Julie has to comment on this one.
There's an objection from the neighbour of
It
the
is.
impact on their amenity, and that there's a precedent set an impact on character.
My only question before I pass it out is, there's no real pictures other than it's like, it seems to be there already. It seems to be a retrospective application
Yeah,
Yeah.
and it seems to be made of aluminium that really fits with the flint and wood. So I'd be interested to see what anybody else thinks.
Jodie, what did you say about it?
I just said that the neighbour was objecting,
Yeah,
from impact on amenity, impact on character.
yeah.
That doesn't mean everything has to be exactly the same material, but as Tom says, it looks like it's already.
What's your plan?
It's an ugly design, but I don't really see any particularly poignant planning grounds to object. I would have rather it was more in keeping with the house or nice timber lean-to something with tiles, but I don't see it. I don't feel strongly enough to object to.
It's about 3 houses that can see it as well.
Yeah.
It's not close.
Yeah.
Not that that's anything to do with farm.
That's the lesson I feel strongly, I'd be minded to.
Okay, so we're an approval, and we got a second. Because the second, this is a content. Bad luck.
No, yeah. But
Anybody come up with a second proposal, please, councillor Thomas?
Yeah, I'd just go for refusal. I mean, I personally just think that it's not in keeping with the vernacular of the design of the whole estate.
And this retrospective.
Yeah, that doesn't help, you know, yeah.
Mr. Jackson?
I'm not too concerned whether it's contemporary or period or whatever, but it has to be of a higher quality, I think.
Okay.
And I don't think it is at the moment, so my concern is about the visual amenity generally.
It's like a bus stop.
Yeah.
Design, isn't it?
It's a vaping canopy. I'm just concerned about I think we should be protecting visual amenity as a sort of
Yeah.
basic entry.
Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm not sure it does that.
Anybody else got a comment? So proposal for refusal and seconded, all in favour? Field house variation of application condition 3, which is changing a wood louver, rosy spring from wood louver to opaque glass. Surely.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say in terms of the change in materials, could be conditioned that that's kept opaque. I think one of the neighbouring properties has
Yeah.
suggested that in their comments.
Yeah, there's a condition that is never removed by any of the residents and it's always remains opaque.
You can condition the opaqueness, but I don't think you'd be able to control them.
Surely if it's
Well,
conditioned to be
yeah, but
opaque,
it-
it has to be opaque.
I think what happens is it becomes self-policing. So you
Yeah.
you condition it to be opaque forever. And then they take it down and put a glass screen back up and the people immediately come back and say,
Yeah.
it's clear, it's see-through again.
Yeah.
And it comes back as an enforcement issue, I think.
Okay. Anyone got a,
We got a proposal.
no,
Approval.
approval?
Approval subject to the condition that it's permanently obscured.
Okay. Seconded. Anybody got a comment? All in favour? 2931 Bell Street.
Yeah, so this is within the existing built-up area, so the principle of residential is acceptable. It's a conversion of an existing building. Windows are proposed along the northern elevation and some Juliet balconies. The site's not listed, but it is within the conservation area. The current use of the building's retail and associated storage. The plans show that retail will remain on the ground floor to comply with the shopping area policy TC5 of the local plan. However, there is limited information to demonstrate that the retail element to be lost on the first floor is no longer viable or has been marketed for a year to comply with the policy MP3.
It's Mountain White House.
Yeah. So it was M and Co upstairs, the cafe.
Yeah.
Now there's gonna go M and Co downstairs, some storage. And upstairs is gonna be 5 flats and a studio, and then the top floor is gonna be a studio flat.
Yeah.
Councillor,
What's the policy on parking?
Because it's a sustainable.
Because we're
location.
right in the centre, you
Yeah,
can
because-
walk to everything.
Yeah,
that's
they
it.
wouldn't have a concern with parking.
We always lose on parking,
Yeah.
Yeah.
always.
what was the bin stories like?
Waste are okay with it as long as it's got access and it's smooth, so you
Yeah,
have to
which
do
is-
it outside
It's
the
got
waste.
the bins and bikes
Yeah.
on the plan, so that looks okay.
Outdoor space? Just, okay.
The River Thames,
Yeah.
No, I meant,
Wait, trails.
we brought up another application, just want to make sure we have the same considerations.
None don't need to stand something.
You don't need to in terms of flats, it's
Okay.
walkable to open spaces.
Fair enough.
Lots of plants.
First of all, retail is near impossible to get work, and then it goes upstairs to go to retail. So I know that Amico did make it work as a cafe, it was actually quite popular. I don't feel it's of any particularly great loss. I actually think the gain of 5 2-bedroom small accommodations in the town centre is, I know they're not going to be affordable, it's a conversation for a different point. And yes, they're small, but I think they're actually something that the town needs. I actually think they're done relatively well, and as long as the waste criteria is met, I see no reasons to object to.
Councillor,
I agree, I think that it's harder to have it not empty if it's 2 floors, you know, it takes a really particular type of retail. So if it's able to be utilised and be a retail unit and smaller, and we get that smaller accommodations council plan says, then actually I support it as long as the vape shop doesn't go back there.
They moved to Smith, Smith's a suburb, isn't it?
No, and tires, everyone does.
so are you seconding or are you?
Yeah, I'll second.
Okay, seconded. Where's got a comment?
I'm really conflicted with this one again. I don't understand why they should get away with not complying with the current, you know, regulations of having it had to be listed for a year. Have they really tried that hard? All of the other organisations around here are complying, but this one is not.
Did M and Co come out of it proper? June?
They certainly just haven't gone for the whole year. That's for sure.
Gone for the year.
They haven't marketed it for a year. That's for sure.
So,
we know what the answer's gonna be though. No, they haven't done it, but I think we know what the answer will be, it doesn't work at first floor level. Can we think of any in Henley that works at first floor level?
And also, if we wanted to enforce it, we could all sit here now and reject the application, but I just, on its merits, I actually think the application is better than the purpose that it is currently served by the building. If it was different and they were coming back to learn the whole thing, and they were going to get rid of ground floor, like we do on numerous occasions, we
Yeah.
enforce it and we keep it, but the only thing that works on first floor is service industry and offices, like retail doesn't work. on first
We've
floor.
got another one, we've got another application coming forward here where, you know, they've been marketed, the offices for a year, so they've complied. You know, why should this other one not comply?
I'm very sympathetic to that view, but we should, if we've got a regulation, it's there for a reason. We shouldn't pick and choose who we enforce on.
okay, so we have a proposal to accept and that's been seconded. So, well, vote not. All in favour? Against?
So,
So the provision of the bin storage is provided.
No, it has to be,
No,
there's
it's-
that specific
it's-
criteria
it's-
about it being smooth rather than a step down.
Okay.
On open access. Is that 2/3 majority?
That is not a 2/3 majority.
There'd be a recommendation.
We have a recommendation. No, that's good. This is probably the most interesting.
You've not hit the 20-minute target.
The other thing is, just in terms of the street
It's
scene,
fine.
that blank wall that's there now, we're gonna get fenestrations that will liven up that section.
Yeah.
It's not like a cinema.
Pedestrians there.
I quite like them.
Yeah.
It is small, but
I
I
can't
had
afford
them for like flats like that.
still can't afford one?
Yeah.
No.
Back with it, bring it off.
Well, yeah, we wouldn't have moved down, they said, but I support it. I appreciate 2 months, it's gonna come through anyway. 73A Bell Street. Changing for use of first and second floors. Jodie?
Yeah, so this goes nicely following
Mhm.
the last one, which
Which is
is
good,
about the
that.
same policies. So this, previous applications were refused due to not providing sufficient information on viability to comply with policy EM3. It's listed and within the conservation area. The report attached sets out the general picture of it not being viable, but it says it's not possible to provide that it is unviable. That's actually what it states. The statement suggests that the unit has been marketed for a year and that it would provide improvements to nearby residents.
73, is that on the corner in the junction? Or is it down
It's
to-
above the saddle shop, I think,
Yeah.
the horse shop.
Councillor
Where's the
Jones.
listed building application?
Yeah, it should have those as well, shouldn't it? So that'll,
Yeah, I've got a note here. It should, where's the LB?
then I'll flag that and write the comments.
So what can we do about this application in the absence of a listed building? 'Cause
Well, this
in
is
theory,
about
we
the
could approve,
principle.
we could
isn't it?
approve this, couldn't we?
Yeah.
And then
we do.
wait, subject to
Yeah.
LB.
I mean, the thing about this one is that the owners have made absolutely no attempt to improve, you know, the amenity of the offices. You know, they look very, very
It's probably-
old fashioned and they haven't made any attempt to modernise them, and you kind of wonder why. But
What commercial landlords do.
I mean, if they do become flats, they're going to be quite small, aren't they? But I suppose they're going to be on the same kind of footprint similar to what you've just approved.
I think
Yeah.
it's one residential
It's
unit.
one
Resident.
first and second floors back to residential,
One residential.
It's-
yeah.
1/2 floors. Okay,
It'll be a reasonable
So
size.
it's not a
Yeah.
bad size actually. It's an odd layout, but it's a good size.
Okay.
You buy it?
Vote for approval by councillor Plant, seconded by councillor Payne.
subject to the listed
Subject,
building.
yes.
Yeah.
All in favour? 13 Marmion Road. Jolly.
Yes, there's a conservation area. The first floor extension's been set in by 1 metre to reduce the impact on the neighbouring property. It's the end of the terrace. Would have been helpful to have it applies approval on the plans. It shouldn't overly impact on the character.
Councillor Jackson.
It's end of terrace. Well, I've been in the property next door, which has a long, thin ground floor extension, primarily lit by roof lights. So when you put this first floor extension and they put it centrally
Yeah. Yeah.
within the footprint, it has an impact on the roof lights next door. And it's quite uncommon that they put it centrally. Most of those Grove Grange, Park, Marmion, they range it to the party
Yeah.
wall side where the original
Yeah.
half of the block was. So my concern is the impact
So
on
the-
the easterly neighbour.
Have they objected?
Daylight, sunlight, increased enclosure.
They haven't objected yet, have they? I didn't see the objection in there.
Have they not?
No.
Okay. That's what we're here for.
I was just clarifying from.
Yeah.
Councillor Plum.
It's got a conflict of interest.
Was that a proposal?
Um,
A proposal to refuse on the grounds of loss of amenity, light, daylight, sunlight, increased enclosure.
Proposal. Any seconders?
Oh, 50-50.
It's wrong.
Councillor
Yeah.
Councillor Laurie. We're proposing a seconder for refusal. All in favour? Against? That's Stephanie. 52 Friday Street, replacing the existing windows. Nice.
Sorry.
So, yeah. Proposal for approval, councillor Plant, councillor Jackson.
I've noted it's a huge project for for that particular architectural practice.
Yeah.
I wonder what's going on,
You
but I would
interested?
support it.
I keep walking past and I want to go inside and see what it's like. I've seen it from the shells. I walk past with the dog and you look, there's something in there. Interesting. Proposal for acceptance, approval. Anybody second that? Councillor Jackson. Nobody got to speak? Nobody, all in favour of that? 10 Grove Road, Park Story, Part 2 Story Extension.
Yeah, so number 11 Grove Road, raised concerns regarding the drainage with the gutters overhanging onto their side.
Is that existing gutter?
No, the proposed guttering, so that might need to be revisited in terms of looking at that.
Is that
By
flat
amended
or
plans.
building regs?
Well, they would have to provide
But it's actually
permission
common
on
law.
their own.
It's a trespass.
Yeah, they would provide a certificate that not all of the land is on
Okay.
theirs, so they would just have to do that and clarify that, so I don't think it can be determined until that's been,
It's fine, so we can't do anything about it until that has been,
you know, but you may wish to raise that with them, it's your comments.
okay?
I think we refuse until that's been provided.
Okay. Who's, have we got?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, refuse until
Refuse.
clarify the trespass on, their drain pipe goes directly onto their property.
Got a second?
Yeah, seconded.
Everybody?
In principle, the design is fine, but then you
Yeah.
have to fix that.
Just that,
It does exactly what we're just saying. It is raised to the
Yeah.
Yeah.
one side.
okay, so proposal for refusal has been seconded, all in favour? Okay. Cornerstones Farmwell, change of use of the annex to an independent 2-bedroom dwelling house.
Yeah, so this is an existing 2-bedroom annex within the conservation area. The unit was approved with the condition that would not be used apart from ancillary to the residential use. The decision notice from SODC says that the separate occupation of the accommodation would represent an undesirable subdivision of the property and result in inadequate standards of sort of amenity.
Yep.
And privacy.
Is that for cornerstones?
That's for cornerstones, yeah.
That's interesting.
Refusal.
Second.
Because this is exactly what we try and do by saying it must remain ancillary to the main building. If we then allow it to X years to come back in,
Yeah.
we nullify the strength of the initial recommendation. I think if we're going to say that on any plans, we stay strong and true to it.
Okay. Anybody else care to add to that? We've got a proposal for refusal, seconded by Bernard. All in favour? And finally, pot and shed from change
Yeah.
of use. I was gonna say, yeah, sorry.
So yeah, this is a change of use. This is within the conservation area. It was granted permission in 2016 for a double garage and potting room and then a first floor studio and bathroom. This application is to rationalise the internal changes that are already being carried out. So the kitchen and sitting rooms already been provided.
When you read out the previous clause, I thought you were referring to this clause because I remember in 2016 when this was built. And that's exactly a house through the back door.
Yeah,
And I
exactly.
just waited
Yeah.
and now here it is.
Yeah.
I think it's the same as Cornerstone. Hold firm on that, otherwise all the Fairmile, there's loads of garages and things, access on the Fairmile.
But does this remain in ancillary or is this going to be?
No, this is
Changing the-
used as a dwelling house. So it's the same as the.
Here's a garage and a studio flat. Oh, we're gonna just we'll take a car out and put it into a house.
So it's already got a studio above, but it wants the whole building to be.
But the studio is ancillary to the main house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and is this going to remain ancillary to the main
Not
house?
no state.
Separate door.
Yeah.
So is that a proposal for refusal?
Yeah.
Seconded?
Yep.
Anybody else got a comment?
No.
All in favour?
So I know you can also it's just still near part of the main house, that's no issues.
Okay, objections. I'll call in and call in.
Well, I'd be tempted to call them both and also
Yeah.
sub to 5 to make sure they don't go through the.
The last two, yeah. So we've refused. If we call them in, then it'll go to plan committee, if the planning officer disagrees.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can call them in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
need to
I think so.
Policy.
I think we need to send,
Get the erosion would just be constant.
Okay.
I think we need to send a strong message to SODC. Yeah.
And it might mean that we don't need to go to future ones, because they're now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those in, yeah. Honest, those in the shed.
Okay.
Next one, decision notices, Brandon, 22 St Andrews, 3 Wootton. Installation of a roller shutter to station use, listed building 4 Grace Hill, Old Bell House, that's it. And, certificate of lawful development for 43 Plumley Road. Conversion of double garage into habitable accommodation. So keep an eye out for that one next. Yep. Okay, funding for pedestrian count on Grays Road, I'm presuming that's Kath? Or is it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, Kath's here.
Yeah, Kath's in the yard.
Hi, sorry. Yes, so this is following a couple of requests from residents trying to take their children to school and having to cross Grays Road. They've asked about whether it would be possible to look into a pedestrian crossing up near the Top Shops, sort of up, closer up to Elizabeth, where Elizabeth Road comes out above the Top Shops roundabout on Grays Road. I've met an OCC officer up there, and basically without a pedestrian count, we don't know whether there are enough people crossing the road to justify a crossing there. So that would be the first stage, and then potentially later on we could do a traffic count. But as Henley's on the list for a 20-mile-an-hour limit, there's no point in doing a traffic count until we've got the 20-mile-an-hour limit in. But we could start this, the very initial stage, with a pedestrian count, and that would cost £400. Planning Committee controls £5,000 a year from SIL for transport-related projects, and this currently still stands. Actually, no, it doesn't still stand at £5,000. It's about £2,500 because we've improved the vehicle-activated sign. But we've got money in that planning budget, so £400. Thank you.
So thanks.
It is a pretty difficult area to cross, so yeah, I see it as being a sensible decision.
Seconded, Councillor Thomas.
Yeah, I'm seconding that, yeah.
I would thoroughly recommend this as well. I think especially we have a budget runs out very soon. This is off this year, but last year?
I think our budget's.
This year.
This year.
You're talking specific element.
Okay, we have a proposal in the seconder, all in favour? Yes, all right. Hildy, government planning consultation.
Yeah, so this is the current consultation started on 6th of March. There's 4 main points I just wanted to raise with you. So it's a new accelerated planning process that would require council to decide major commercial applications of over 1,000 square metres within 10 weeks rather than 13 in return for higher fees. That's one of the main things they're suggesting. So with a guarantee that the fee would be refunded if the scheme is not determined within those 10 weeks. The next one is changes in relation to extensions of time agreements, including a new performance measure on the district council for speed of decision making against statutory time limits, and an end to the use of extension of time agreements for householder applications. Also an expansion of the current simplified householder and minor commercial appeal service to allow for more written representations appeals. So this would remove our ability to submit further representations for applications that go to appeal. So at the moment we can just discuss it at our committee, and then when it goes to appeal we can provide further representations at that stage, but this would remove that ability to do that. And the inspector would base decisions on comments and information provided at the application stage. And then finally, details on broadening of the ability to vary the planning permission through section 73B applications. So this would introduce the ability to make wider ranging amendments, so long as the amended development would not be substantially different to the originally considered scheme. So this would sit alongside what you can already do in terms of non-material and minor material amendments. So just allow you to do more in terms of varying existing permissions. Just this will probably exacerbate the already pressured local authorities. And I think they probably need to put more resource into those services if they're going to put these forward.
Yeah, I think councillor Plants.
I think they actually make quite a lot of sense when you look at them. I'd like to know where the extra 50% fee is going, who gets it, so where it's going to be spent. I agree with the last part of that, that they shouldn't refund 100% of it, it should be that staggered. The premium part of the fee gets refunded if it's not less than 10 weeks, and then only if it goes on 13, because otherwise it's, yeah, I mean, you might charge a premium fee, but how many times are they going to miss it, and then do you end up having applications come through without the fee? But I think on the whole, especially like we saw the amendments on fair, there was endless amounts of amendments coming in, so I think somewhere streamlining that. So I think they're common sense. How well they're implemented will be a different thing.
Councillor Jackson.
Some of it sounds awful. I mean, pretty much every application I've done in the last 10 years ends up with an extension of time, not because of anything the applicants are doing, because the officers just haven't got the time.
Yep.
Eventually you'll get right to the last week.
Yep.
They haven't even read the report, they haven't
Of course
even
not.
used the site.
Yep.
So my concern would be if we're saying, well, the ability to extend is gone. Then what happens? They just refuse it and you put the new one back in again. I think it needs to be resourced better.
Maybe that's where the extra fee will go to.
It's an assumption.
No, that's what I mean. So I think it makes common sense.
all up anyway.
It's just how well it's implemented.
That's it. Councillor Thompson.
So I have to say, after years of doing these sorts of responding to these sorts of consultations, I'm sick to the back teeth of actually all of these, identifying the wrong culprits here in this planning debate. Okay, constantly going after planning departments is not going to get this country anywhere. Okay, they need to start looking at the developers for a start. Why are they land banking? I mean, they're already being investigated for being monopolies. I mean, they've identified in this consultation, some of the barriers to even making decisions. And it's not down to the planning department. Sometimes it's the applicants themselves.
Yep.
Sometimes it's statutory bodies. What can the planners do about that? I think they just need to call an election and get on with that instead.
Can we put that on? Maybe not.
I just don't want to answer these sorts of consultations anymore. They're ridiculous.
Well,
This-
otherwise we'll complain we don't get consulted. Welcome to democracy.
I think the first
They
question,
don't take any notice of what we say anyway.
Anyway,
first thing is,
You
from my
have the last
perspective,
word, don't you?
where's the proof that actually
That's it.
paying extra money to go to speed anymore?
Yeah.
Where are the actual blockers? And is there anything in that consultation that proves that an extra fee is going to speed things up?
Okay. We're talking about 3 weeks here.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, progress report for applications called in. We've got Hanley Bridge, which I think isn't going to come until next month. The Mount and NatWest Bank. Presuming we've got nothing back. Any of these at the minute?
So, update.
Yeah.
If one of them-
Yes. Yes, I think so. Right, the
The progress report,
this one, yeah, yeah.
I have no update.
That's fine. We all agree that we defer agenda item 12 to next time. In Favor, seconded. Okay. All good. Thank you very much.